Good morning, and thank you all for coming here. We appreciate it. Before we really get going today, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge the feeling so many around the state have regarding the loss of Sarah Beckstrom. I think we're all going to remember Sarah for a very, very long time because she was such a brave woman who we lost in that tragic, unprovoked attack. We obviously laid her to rest on Tuesday. It was an incredibly moving ceremony, and we know that everyone there and across the state will cherish her memory forever. We also have some hopeful news this morning, as I'm really excited to share an update that came about Andrew Wolf from his mom, reporting that he's smiling and he's moving more of his right side, even sitting in a chair for a few hours. It's been reported that his communication's improving, although not verbally, which is an important sign for his progress. Melody and Jason are deeply appreciative for the hospital staff and for all the prayers that have come throughout West Virginia and across the country. I keep going back to the only request that Melody and Jason have made is everywhere you go in a public setting, please ask for more prayers. And that's what we're going to do again today. They're working, and I think Mom and Dad are grateful for the support that so many West Virginians have shown during this difficult time. I know that Andy's parents are optimistic, but we want to note that there's an intense rehabilitation period ahead. So know that as time goes on, we'll continue to update people as information comes available. I just wanted to update people on that before we get to our topic of the day. You know, as you all know, we're beginning to approach the 2026 legislative session. And I thought it'd be helpful to have an update for folks about a big initiative that we're going to be championing, but also to update people about a lot of other initiatives we're working on to keep working on the fundamentals. I've said time after time after time that the way West Virginia is really going to grow from an economic perspective is working and doing the right things in our infrastructure. Site selection and remediation, water, sewer, broadband, affordable energy, and the power purchase agreements that are going to give our a competitive advantage over others in our neighboring states. And it's no secret that we've been making economic development our top priority consistently every day over the last year. And we're working to build jobs and opportunities throughout West Virginia. Very pleased to report the progress we've had since October, where I believe we've had over $5 billion worth of announcements, and that counts for up to 5,500 jobs. That's significant. We're really hopeful we're going to have some additional announcements coming up soon, and I think that this is an administration that is laser focused on economic development, on addressing affordability, the challenges that our citizens have, and making sure that we have the right climate by fixing the fundamentals to help people who are in need. I think we're coming off a successful session in 2025. If you look at the things that we've championed, in particular, the licensing reciprocity, we've gotten more feedback that more and more people are filing to become contractors here in the Mountain State, and at least part of that is due to the licensing reciprocity bill. That's wonderful news. More people coming to work because it's easier to work here in the Mountain State. We're stripping away all that red tape. That effort to end red tape also came into effect with the one-stop shopping bill. You get one point of contact to be able to get all your regulatory needs addressed. We've been diligently going through the process to get that system in place, and we're going through some bids right now in order to make sure that we can get that in place as quickly as possible. By all accounts, that's the end of 26, early 27, and we think that's going to be really positive for the Mountain State. It's exciting. when you cut red tape, you actually help improve economic development. And I've always believed that burdensome regulations are a disguised tax on hardworking men and women in businesses. And our goal is to reduce and eliminate as many of them as possible. And you're going to hear more about that coming up in the State of the State. And then, of course, let's not forget HB 2014, a really positive piece of legislation that's, for the first time ever, really looking to leverage the intersection between energy and technology. In the past, people used to talk about our coal or our gas resources, and it would come out of the ground, and some would be kept here in West Virginia, but a lot of it would be shipped outside of the state. And so we've tried to address that, the old argument that we're not benefiting as much from our resources. And we have done that, and we did that through our data center bill because we also have taken advantage. There's a new economic opportunity with these data centers that didn't exist in West Virginia before, so no one's losing any money, they're all gaining money. And what happens now is that in addition to the counties benefiting wildly from the new money coming in, we have significant benefits with an income tax fund. Over half the monies that will come in from the data center revenue will go into an initiative to ultimately eliminate the state income tax. That's really, really important. So it's critical that we tell the truth about what's going on about that. That's a big potential economic development initiative. I think we're going to have some positive announcements coming soon, and we continue to work on that every single day. We're always looking for ways to lower our state income tax. You're going to be hearing more about that. We want to make sure, though, we're paying for the critical infrastructure that we need. And I'll get to that in a moment. We know that the more we do in water and sewer, I think it matters. It's not so sexy, right, to talk about sewer and water, but you're hearing a lot about it here because I think that's one of the best economic development tools that we have. Now, from the moment I took office, we've talked about jobs and economic development. I know that there's more work that needs to be done. I was pleased to see the House Republicans, House of Delegates the other day with their announcement that that will be their focus as well. So I thank them and look forward to working with them on those issues. A lot of those are the things we've been working on hard over the last year. So I think there's great alignment right now in terms of where we are and the House and the Senate, and that's really exciting. When we work together to advance Team West Virginia, great things can happen. And so I am excited to work with our legislature to pave the way for a very prosperous future for our state. So there's a lot that we're going to want to accomplish in the upcoming legislative session. We'll be doing some announcements about that as we get closer to January 14th and our State of the State. But one very important aspect is the state budget. And as you know, I made a lot of tough decisions over the past year. When it came to last year's budget, we deliberated about a lot of different initiatives, and I think that the legislature, I applaud what they did at the end to put together something that really reflected the state's priorities correctly. But I think those tough decisions are already paying off, and we knew that they would. You put a little hard work in, and you make the tough decisions, the citizens benefit. And by focusing on the state's long-term fiscal health, we're in a better position today than we were in just a year ago. And that's why we have an important announcement to make today, which I think is really positive. I think people across West Virginia, I hope, are going to like it. In my budget for next year, for fiscal year 2027, we will have a pay raise for state employees, period. That's going to include teachers. That's going to include school service personnel. That's going to include our hardworking state police and so many of the people, the correction officers who are working hard every day to make West Virginia a better place to live, to work, and to play. Now, we've already know that there are people in the House and the Senate that have been talking about the importance of teacher pay raises. I applaud that. I think it's great. And let me tell you, I'm looking forward to working with the legislature on the package that ultimately will go through. But I wanted to make it clear, this is a priority. And we're doing this on the heels of real progress, what we've done administratively on PEIA. Look, we're not done yet. I think ultimately there's need to do more statutory work on PEIA. But I will say this, after 3 years, I believe, of double-digit premium increases, I think you saw, in part through a lot of the hard work that our team put in place and the PEIA board, that the premium increases are limited to 3% this year. That's a big difference. And so if you're a teacher, if you're a school service personnel, not only are you going to benefit from a pay raise next year, you're going to benefit that we're going to have, we've been able to make meaningful progress on those PEIA premiums. I think that's really good. You want to make sure you're treating your state workers the right way. So I wanted to mention that because I think it's important that our employees benefit when things are coming along well, and we have made progress in the last year. We know that the people we're trying to help today, these are the people that are teaching our kids, they're fixing our roads and bridges, they're guarding our prisons, they're protecting us from the bad people out there, and they administer many of the programs that our citizens rely on. I think our state employees, so many of them, they choose public service, not for their own benefit, but they want to serve the people, and I applaud all the people doing that. But with that exciting announcement, I want to tell you that there are going to be more announcements coming soon. And I'd also like to really emphasize we're excited to work with the House and the Senate on a lot of the economic prosperity initiatives. You know, we've been busy working away on a number of those, and we're happy to see the House and Senate working on that. You know you're going to see more tax cuts. You know you're going to see more red tape cut. You're going to see more incentives for growth and more focus on the fundamentals to get the infrastructure better. When you have a strong fundamental base in the economy, businesses come in more and more. And they come in without you even having to throw $1 billion their way. There's a lot we can do by having the fundamentals done the right way. And so I'm excited about the direction that the state is heading in. Now, I also have some grant announcements today related to West Virginia's infrastructure and environment. And these are wonderful for the communities that will benefit from. We're announcing that we're awarding more than $12.6 million in water and sewer infrastructure grants in 13 counties. And we'll make that list available for you afterwards. That's in Barber County, Braxton, Clay, Harrison, Jackson, Lewis, Mason, Monongalia, Nicholas, Pleasance, Pendleton, Wirt, and Wood. I don't think I missed anyone there. That's supposed to help over 12,200 people. That's terrific. And as we continue to work, we're going to keep focusing on these fundamentals, and I think water and sewer is very, very essential for success of our state. I think clean water and infrastructure investments, they lift up our standard of living, and they really help drive economic growth. And I haven't heard that that's ever a Democrat or a Republican issue. That's just good for the people of our state, and that's what we're doing. We're working on the fundamentals. We're helping West Virginia grow to be that shining state in the mountains and to make sure more jobs, more affordability for our citizens. And these projects are going to really make a difference. We also have some announcements today relating to the Department of Environmental Protection. There's going to be a $1.5 million in Chesapeake Bay Program grant awards as West Virginia leads the nation in meeting some of the Chesapeake Bay cleanup efforts. There's $1.2 million in non-point source grants to support organizations working to reduce pollution, restore streams, and implement watershed-based plans across the state. And finally, there's more than $100,000 in 2026 stream partner grants to support local watershed restoration and stream stewardship across West Virginia. We want clean water. We want to make sure that we leave our lands in a better place than we inherited them, and that's positive. We're always looking to leave the next generation in a better place than where we are today. And with a lot of this these initiatives I'm announcing, we're going to do just that. So we're going to put all those grants up on the website. You'll have access to them. And I want to say I'm really proud of all these initiatives. I know that's a lot of news in one day, but I thought that we'd get that out. We obviously have had a really busy time over the last few weeks, but I wanted to make sure people know that this administration keeps working, and we're going to make sure that we keep putting our citizens first. So with that, leave it to you guys for any questions you may have. Lori? Sure. So we obviously want to work closely with the House and the Senate on that. And so I was pleased to see the focus on teacher pay and other raises the other day. So I want to work with them. We're getting to the final stages of our budget that'll be coming out during the State of the State, which is, I believe, January 14th. So as we get closer to that, we might have more color to add. And most assuredly, it'll be all public by the time of the State of the State. So, but I want to try to work collaboratively with our colleagues in the House and Senate. But it's important enough that I wanted to send a message, especially before the holidays, that we're working hard to help our teachers, our school service personnel, our state police, our corrections officers, people that we know need a pay raise. Other questions?
Over the weekend, Senator Deeds and Delegate Berghammer had reference, I think they mentioned 20 bills they plan to introduce this session that touch on child welfare.
Sure.
One of the plans or proposals that they're hoping to put forth would establish a fund for in-state facilities, either built or renovated, to bring out-of-state children in the foster system back into West Virginia. One of the questions came up is where would that, where would the money come
Sure.
from? Is that something that your office has been in discussions about? And if not, is it something that you consider?
Yeah. Look, I think that's a great question. So I want to be really clear. I want to bring our kids home. Let me say that again. I want to bring our kids home. I hate the fact that we have so many people out of state, and we've been working for months on different initiatives to try to get kids to come back home. So I think you're going to see some initiatives and some announcements coming out, and I applaud the efforts of legislators who are also trying to solve the problem. So I think you're going to be seeing some things on that very soon, and maybe as early as next week, where we can talk about it. Because we think it's critical. It needs to be a priority. Many months ago, as we've been working through a lot of the initiatives to improve foster care and child welfare in the state, we've talked about the importance of getting our kids home. This has been going on for a long time, obviously, but I think you're going to see action, both more administrative action and certainly legislative action, and so I applaud those legislators for focusing on that. Henry?
Yes, sir. Speaking of HB 2014,
Yeah.
data center bill, some of the communities that have been undergoing the data center projects have called on lawmakers to address some of the issues surrounding local control and transparency in the projects. Senate President Randy Smith has indicated he would like to revisit this policy in the new session. What are you going to do to address these issues surrounding local control and transparency?
So I think the good news is that our process is going to be very, very positive for the local communities. I can tell you that as we talk to the different folks who are looking at coming into West Virginia and potentially investing many, many, many billions of dollars, that we're going to do this the right way. We're going to make sure that as these investments come, just like you would with some of these manufacturing facilities, you have the right setbacks. You have the right trees, you're addressing the right issues. That's going to happen. I think a lot of the concerns are misplaced, that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for West Virginia because we are going to do it the right way. I have people that are within our Commerce Department who are focused on this, and my directive has been that we want to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the citizens, that we care about clean air, we care about clean water, we care about noise and pollution and those issues, and we want to work with the communities. So nothing is going to be harming these communities. We're going to work collaboratively with them to make sure that we address these issues that are coming. I know there have been different projects that probably preceded 2014 that were there before that announcement, but I'm really excited. I think it positions us to further strengthen the bonds with communities and to make sure that we're proactively addressing it. And I've really been consistent about that, whether it's setbacks and trees and making sure that we're keeping the land, we're good stewards of the areas that we have. That's critically important. So I want to work with anyone, and we want to make sure, remember, there hasn't been a data center that's come in yet, that's gone through the process. We think we're really close on some, but that hasn't happened yet. So I would ask the people to take a look at what we're going to do and judge us by our actions, not by a couple people, a minority, engaging in scare tactics. Very important for people to know, and I would ask that folks focus on it, this data center bill has a chance to help West Virginia so much, not only through the billions and billions of capital investment, but of the dollars coming in, half of the money is coming in to a fund that can reduce and ultimately wipe out the state's income tax. What that does is that better diversifies our economy. It puts more money back into people's pockets. There are also provisions to engage in more water and sewer and economic development, focus on the fundamentals, and to shore up the stability of the grid. Furthermore, customers don't get harmed by this because the cost of the data centers are borne by the people coming in. Those are the facts on the ground, and we want people to see that, as opposed to a couple people who, to be honest, don't know much about the law, that are complaining that, here we have an opportunity for so many billions of dollars and so much opportunity from a jobs perspective, from a investment perspective, from an affordability perspective. We think this is a really good law, and I'm excited that for people to see the fruits of the labor, which I think people will in the upcoming months. So I would just say, judge it by what you see instead of the comments coming by people that, quite frankly, didn't even know what was in that law. Other questions that you may have? Any questions? Lori?
Can I ask you about PEIA? We've heard
Sure.
from people during the public comment period, the PEIA
Yeah.
about the spousal surcharge.
Sure.
And I just wondered about that. Could that be a source of legislation this year, or do you have other plans for PEIA?
Well, I could say that that we've been working to have more long-term structural fixes for PIA, and that didn't occur earlier this year, but I can say this, we've been very proactive on the administrative side, using all the tools that we have in order to make the kind of decisions that are going to be helpful, the kind of diversity in the plans that are going to help folks out, and then separately to really limit those increases, right? You saw that this year, the 3% instead of the double-digit increases, and I want to applaud all the people within the PIA and the board who worked so hard to make that happen. So I know that some of the issues on spousal surcharge, I think that PIA is kind of carrying out what the legislative direction had been. So there are areas where we have flexibility, areas where we don't. But what I will say is this, that we have made a lot of progress there. But if you look at the long-term budget, we still know that there are challenges that we have to look at. The structural piece in terms of PIA and some of the other items that I still want to make sure that we're getting our arms around. So I'm open to additional conversations with the legislature about that, but I feel really good about the performance of what PIA did, what it had out there, and to really limit those changes. I think that was really important. I want to further point out that one thing that I did is shore up the retiree program. We took some of the resources to make sure that the retirees weren't going to be hurt the way they were. And that's important because that's always bothered me, that people that actually don't get pay, that we want to make sure when they get their CPI, COLA from Social Security, that they're not faced with these double-digit price increases. I've been sympathetic to that, and I think you see in this PIA proposal that the retirees are doing better as a result of the specific decisions we made to shore up the retiree program. So that was a real positive thing I wanted to point out. Any other questions from someone? Anyone? Henry?
Yeah, just real quick, I know this is another big initiative that your administration's been taking very seriously.
Yeah.
Health fund.
Sure.
When y'all gonna be releasing the budget narrative on that, on the application for that?
I know, I think, when is the application? I think it's out today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it'll be out tomorrow.
So we have the narrative out tomorrow, and so I think that you're going to see a lot of stuff. And if you have, after you get it, you have questions, let me know. I know that we still are in communications with the federal government as they have questions back and forth, so this is an evolving thing. I'm excited. I think we submitted a good application. I'll leave it to people when they read it to let me know, but we certainly, I can't see that. Oh, good, I'm getting, someone's telling me I forgot to say something. That's good. That's why you have good staff to remind you. I don't remember everything. But as soon as we have that information, we'll let you know. But look, I have my fingers crossed for a good announcement at the end of December. CMS has indicated they're going to be releasing the application amounts, the awards, at the end of the year. And I know that we've just worked really hard to submit the best possible application. And the reason why, it bears repeating, when you can improve the health care of your workforce, by definition, you can improve productivity, you can increase the number of people who are in the workforce. More workforce participation is essential for the strength of our economy. And I would argue that improving workforce participation is the single most important economic challenge we have in West Virginia. And we've been laser focused on that. And that's what's so exciting about this rural health initiative, because if we can just move the needle a little bit, tackling some of the disease states like diabetes or obesity or COPD and other disease areas, and let's say we could increase workforce just a couple percentage points from that, think about what that does to our economy, to our standard of living. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm hopeful that CMS is going to agree with us that we've submitted a very good application, and West Virginians get to see that, and I think that'll be out tomorrow. Now, I was reminded by my crack team that I wanted to mention one other important item today. In West Virginia, there's a lot of excitement that builds with the lottery from time to time. Earlier this year, we had a $1 billion lottery. And I'm told that this week, on Saturday, we're going to have a drawing for another $1 billion lottery. This will be the second time this year, so I know a lot of people are excited about it. I just wanted to mention it. And Eric, when do people have to buy their tickets by?
Up until 9 o'clock Saturday.
Up till 9 o'clock Saturday night, right? Saturday night? Up to 9 o'clock Saturday night. So I wanted to mention that, and I'm grateful for my team for reminding me about that. So I want to thank everyone for coming. Very importantly, I want to thank the parents of Sarah Beckstrom and for the dignity of the service. The other day, I thought that the Guard, the military, did a wonderful, wonderful job. I'm appreciative of our National Guard and our leadership, but also the national leadership that's come in and been very, very supportive. It means an awful lot. And of course, I'm really hopeful that the progress reports we're hearing about Andy Wolf continue. Mom is just going to keep praying, and I think that's phenomenal. So I'm glad to let people know about that, and obviously we'll come back to you. I think we have some announcements next week that we'll be back at the podium and around the state, and I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you, and God bless.